Hello, everybody.
Hello, people.
Welcome to the Thrive With Us podcast. Hi, I'm Nick Jones.
I'm Nicole.
Today, we're going to talk about, I don't know yet. We're winging it. It's been a while. We're back here. We'd like to thank Ralph's Crispy Crunchy Chicken for all his sponsorships and corn chip toes. And, from there, I don't really know. We'll figure it out.
Corn chip toes.
So, yeah.
If you're a dog person, you get it. If not, don't worry about it.
One thing to talk about, we have upgraded our lighting, as you can see. I got the cool lights going on. I also have, this is going to be weird, look at yourself within yourself. Is that like one of those infinite loops? Who knows? So I can actually check what I'm doing. Pretty proud of the lighting. Really like it. Got these set up over here to eliminate the light. Got some different lights going on.
We just need new chairs now because
we
my torso is too long for this.
We're thinking about doing a loungy setup, but we don't know.
Look how tall I am.
It's fair. You have a tall torso. Anywho. All right. So I'm really stoked on this. I can't stop looking at it, but I'm going to set it down now. We're going to continue on.
So what's on the table for today, Nicholas?
Today I have, as usual, Nicole has a notebook full of notes, and I have
I was
index
taking
card
notes while you were doing lights for
empty.
The last hour. So,
So it's been a little bit. I don't know how long it's been. Maybe a month and a half. We try to do them every month, but somehow both of us end up.
We were trying to do every week until we opened a third location, and then it went to one weekend.
This is true. My plan for the future is, let's just get some housekeeping out of the way. For one, like, subscribe, share, please. We really like doing this. Not only, I like sharing the information we've learned, and I also really enjoy talking in this setting because it really helps me learn to speak and not speak over people. I like a lot of other people, I'm sure, have some problems.
We all have our different strengths and weaknesses.
I was just want to talk over people. This helps me a lot with that. I also really want to spread all the knowledge that we've learned. Not that we know everything, but we love conversation.
Deep conversation.
And, it just keeps me accountable, and I love it. So like, share, please.
Sharing
subscribe.
wisdom. I think that's the key to life is sharing, is always learning from other people's wisdom and then also just paying it forward, going through life, sharing what we've gone through, the good, the bad, the ugly.
What good are you going to do if
never too proud to admit that we've messed up time and time again. We've learned the hard way time and time again. Even when we've had a mentor telling us one thing, we still learn the hard way. We're human and we all are imperfect humans. And that's the key, is to share that.
For sure. And I would like to get some guests on here. So if you'd like to be on here, Nicole has responded that maybe she hates me and doesn't want to be on here every time. Just kidding. Just joking.
That is not true.
I definitely want to get some people on here. I'm thinking about our teammates. So if you're a teammate and you're listening, let me know. We get you set up on here. But today, I think we talk a little bit about... we're always talking about doing hard stuff, but I think we're just going to talk about some life updates and see where it goes from there.
Oh.
Unless you have something else. Do you have something planned?
I mean, I think that's great. But I also wrote down notes on a great topic that I think both of us have, been through the ringer on. And that's confidence, struggling with confidence and how to build confidence. I think that every single human being, if you think that you don't struggle with confidence and you haven't developed that
awareness,
then, you're solely mistaken. We all struggle with it. What do you think? Where do you think that your confidence has come from? Do you have confidence, I should say? And what's the difference between confidence and arrogance?
Ooh. Thin line. I gotta process for a second, if that's all right.
Processing.
So, what was the first question? Do I have confidence?
Yeah.
Yes, in certain areas of my life, for sure. In certain areas, I lack a lot, and it's usually the areas where I tend to be good at things, which is kind of interesting to me. What was the second question?
What's the difference between confidence and arrogance in your head?
That's a tough one for me. I'm a real feely type of person, so I think it's when your confidence doesn't align with your actions. Arrogance becomes when you maybe, God, I don't even know how to say it. I'm looking for the right words.
What did you just say? What aligns with your actions?
When you're,
why
are you smiling?
Because
you weren't listening.
No, I was, because I think you said when your confidence
doesn't align with your actions.
Yeah,
so
it's like
let's say
when your words and your actions don't match.
Let's say I meet a person and they're like, "Yeah, cars is easy, so I can fix any car. I know everything about." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's go out here and look at this car. Let's talk about."
Yeah, it's like when your words don't align with your actions.
Yeah. And I think that it's a lack of self-awareness. And I also think it's a it's a coping mechanism. Most of the people who are arrogant, actually, I often wonder if arrogance is the same as overconfidence, because there's people who are arrogant but are really good at stuff. And then there's people, I guess that's ignorant and arrogant is the difference there.
I think insecurity causes arrogance,
the one thing I will say about myself is I feel like I'm one of the least arrogant people ever. I have a hard time with even admitting when I know something really well. I've always been taught to my mom is very similar. Oh no, I can't do that. She always underplays herself, which has caused me issue, in my life for other reasons. But, yeah, I don't really know exactly the difference. What would you say it is?
So I think when I'm looking at someone and I'm identifying, is that confidence or is that arrogance? I think that when someone is oversharing and trying to explain their greatness as opposed to just being great, when they're boasting and talking about themselves and having to justify what they're doing. Yeah,
if you have to tell me how good you are, you generally aren't. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I've done a ton of interviews with people.
Confidence, you don't have to. I heard someone say this the other day. If you're confident, I think it was Jefferson Fisher, who I just love. He talks about speaking a lot and arguments. He's a lawyer. And he said, when you're confident, you don't have to say a word. I'm confident that I'm wearing a black shirt. So if you said to me, that shirt is red, I'd be like, okay. That's not even something I'm going to argue with you about because it's very obviously not red.
This is true. I think that in the great words of Cesar Millan, calm confidence, right? When someone needs to explain themselves, or we all know the type of person no, I'm great. I'm great at this. You should know. Yeah, I'm just really good. There never are.
Yeah.
It's interesting because after interviewing probably thousands of people at this point, maybe hundreds, I don't know, a lot. I always noticed that the best people I've ever hired downplayed themselves the most during the interview, but they had a feeling. And that's why I was telling you, I have a hard time putting things in this about me, but I'll share it out loud. Nicole will ask me a lot of the times, what very specific details about something that are important, I'm sure. But I just overall go with feelings. I know when I met somebody, I know
energy. You can feel their energy, and you don't really have words to put on it, but it's just
they say
feeling.
Vibration, whatever that is, right? I can definitely, I have a really good read on that. So she'll ask me well, what was his experience like? Or I'm like, I don't remember, but I know that I felt strongly that he was this way or she was that way.
Or the vibe was off. Or
no.
Something about this person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For sure.
Or with Cesar Millan, with a pack of dogs. I think there was something, I think it had to do with lions or something like that, but it's how do you know who the alpha dog is in this setting? And it's is it the one that's barking, being super loud? Is it the one that's, being aggressive? Is it the one that's eating? Is it, or trying, just putting up, I don't know. There was just so many different options. And it's no, it's the one that's over there sleeping, not worried about a damn thing,
Yeah,
it doesn't have to worry about eating because it knows that it's the alpha and it's going to eat,
Yeah, it's interesting.
But anyway, the I think I wanted to talk more about if you're someone who struggles with confidence, whether it's, you own a business or, maybe within your own health, nutrition journey, there's so many different facets of life, right? If you're someone that's struggling with confidence, how do you develop more confidence? Where does it come from?
Action. That's it. Sorry. There's no magical solution. There's no.
I mean, that is the magical solution, right?
It is, and that's something that's tough to swallow.
It's something you built. You're not born with it. I think honestly, we are born with it, and then we lose it along the way.
I think we're all. Let me back that up. I 100% agree. I think that we're all born with a ton of confidence, and then we get told, no, don't do that. Bad. Don't laugh at that. Don't
we lose
yell.
Confidence.
Don't scream. Don't. And for good purpose, right? Like, don't put your hand in the fire. Don't. But it breaks our confidence away, and then there's this fine line between, just like taking someone's confidence or, helping them. And I think we as humans, within our egoic nature, tend to steal confidence from others, me included.
Mm-hmm. By how?
Noticing flaws, pointing them out, even when they aren't real. I would say.
Yeah.
Teasing. Sometimes it's not even, as a person who's done a lot of
Oh God, what?
I just wanted to say mental work, but the other day, side story, the other day, I was just laughing about how when you put the word work behind anything, like it sounds so mystical, like I did mirror work or I did drink work or I did
shadow work or
shadow
paperwork.
Yeah. Paperwork. Sorry. Side story. But I think that, a lot of the confidence, it gets taken away, stripped little by little on little things too. You asked some girl out when you were 10 and she said no, or some kid when you were sitting in a high school line said, oh yeah, the kid with the fucked up teeth said this, or that stuff really sticks with you. And it's kind of crazy, I don't really know what the answer is to eliminate that other than someone
mirror work.
Very important in your life building that confidence in you. I don't have kids.
Or not stripping it away.
Yeah, but if I did, I would put them down one time. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I remember all of it. I'd like to say that.
I don't think anyone.
I would try.
I don't think anyone.
Attempt.
I was gonna say I don't think 9.9 times out of 10 people are intentionally doing it. It's a subconscious thing, like you said. We're robbing other people of their confidence subconsciously, though. Like we don't realize we're doing it, but we're subconsciously doing it because it makes us feel better inside.
Yeah. There's so much to that. I think we could literally talk for 10 hours about that. But
but I like what you said about it. Confidence comes from doing. I 100% agree with that. I've lived that, 100% lived that, where I used to be really, I lacked a lot of confidence in my business ownership of, coming into this unknown industry and being a woman in a very male dominated industry and people not talking to me the same way that they talk to you, or, not even acknowledging that I'm standing there. And that ate me up for a long time. And I was
the shop owner's wife.
Yeah. Or not parts vendors, but like software vendors saying like, oh, maybe I should be talking to your husband about this.
Parts vendors do that too.
I've never had, I've been called sweetie and all that shit, but like
diner talk.
Yeah. But I just remember there was a software vendor that just pissed me off, and I just angry, I just a lot of anger, and I had the chip on my shoulder. I had a lot to prove.
Side note, what does chip on your shoulder mean?
It means someone pissed me off, and now I have something to prove.
Literally, though, what is a chip? Like, does someone set a potato chip on someone's shoulder? It's so funny that you said that. Do you know what it means?
No, do you?
Yeah, I do.
What? What is it?
I looked it up literally earlier today.
There's a Dorito on my shoulder, and I'm trying to brush it off.
Like in the Renaissance or something? Like,
oh, the sword thing?
Yeah, like in that era.
Yeah.
They would literally put a wood chip on on your shoulder, and you would fight, and whoever got the wood chip off the shoulder.
That's weird.
I know. I literally, it's so funny that you said that because earlier today I was like, what the hell does that mean? And then I looked it up.
Yeah.
Now you know. Google it. I asked ChatGPT.
That's nice.
Because you say it all the time, like a chip on your shoulder. And then I was like, a chip on your shoulder? Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, are we putting Pringles up there? Lay's? What's the deal?
I want some chips.
Yeah.
So
You always want chips.
So I was just mad at the world, and it kind of killed my confidence too, like it just ate me alive. And I was, I kind of projected it onto you, like you just said, subconsciously to build up my confidence. I was trying to take you down with me. And, but the thing that got me out of that was just by literally doing. And it was like learning. There's like this thing where it's like you hear knowledge is power, but it's not just knowledge. Knowledge is nothing without execution. Execution is like true mastery.
That's true because I mean, so many times I would like to say that I think 98% of human problems could be solved by action. I think we all know. But it's interesting.
I didn't know. I didn't know for a long time. And then I was trying to do the knowledge thing for a long time, and I was just like, for example, with public speaking. Like I can take all the courses, right, on how to public speak, but if I'm not doing public speaking, I'm never going to get better at it.
Did you really not know, or did you not want to look at it?
I don't think I knew.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I feel like, with health and fitness, it's like, yeah, I know exactly. I don't know why I would need to hire somebody to tell me how to eat healthy.
I didn't know that either.
This is true.
Because I didn't realize I was addicted. Yeah.
I stand corrected.
There's a whole phase where, there's different phases that people go through.
And then isn't part of the hard part actually getting yourself to look at that with the honest truth? Because if you look at people who are like held back or don't evolve or don't change, they usually don't, because you have to have this insatiable appetite for information or self-awareness to actually be able to look at that, right? Because like a lot of people get stuck in the position where they're just angry at the parts vendor that doesn't do that, and then they're just angry and that's what they do. Like that's their identity. I'm the angry, like woke person or whatever, like instead of actually being self-aware, looking at where your piece to the puzzle gets. God, I'm getting some feedback in my ears. Are you getting that?
No. I don't think so.
I think these headphones are fucked up, to be honest. But, and I think that's one of your strengths is being so, having such an appetite for information and understanding yourself and really looking at it instead of blaming others, which is the much easier option, right? Like whenever you look at it's so easy once you have this awareness to look at somebody and be like, well, it's obvious, like it's you. You know what I mean? Like this is so simple.
It's you.
Yeah. Good news. You're the problem, but people have a really hard time with that. Including me in some aspects of my life. I've been very thankful to have mentors and stuff who will bring that up to me. And for some reason, I've always felt almost too much self-accountability. But I remember having that revelation when I was younger, like, wow, if it's all my fault, it's all fixable. But as soon as it's someone else's fault, it's not. And that's a very anxiety, overwhelming feeling, right? And doesn't that build some confidence too? To be able to look at something or a problem or yourself or a flaw and go, it's my fault. Me and my brother were talking about this at one point, and it was like, we were talking about, I don't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about like how we were arguing about self-accountability, and his argument was like, yeah, well, you weren't born in Africa with no water or anything. And I'm like, dude, totally true. Like I was so lucky to be born in America with parents that had, food and water and everything. But I still don't think it's helpful for that person to think that it's not on them to change that. It's not helpful. It may be true. Like, yeah, it fucking sucks if you were born in Soweto, Africa, where, you're living in a house the size of my shed. What am, like, yeah, that does suck. It's not helpful.
Yeah.
Though. It's not helpful to get out of it. Like sometimes truths and thoughts, sometimes truths and awareness can be an interesting thought. I'm trying to say something else there, but I can't really come out with it. Sometimes I think almost tricking yourself is helpful.
Oh my gosh, yeah. If you think about our brains, we're just totally brainwashed.
This is true.
Every
What is
society
reality?
is so different, right? Every country lives so different. We're so
You're
brainwashed.
You're gonna get me all fucked up.
But we can use that to our advantage.
That's
we
true.
can brainwash ourselves into being this other version of ourselves. And we were just talking about that yesterday about channeling your higher self, your future self, the one that's not the little fragile kid that was just terrified of life and
It was going to get me emotional during these.
like you can use it to your advantage. I think that's the key to life.
It is.
It's the answer that we all need, but it takes a lot of work.
The answer to what we all need is love, which is something that some people have never felt because they weren't allowed it.
Yeah, that's very true. Deep.
It's true. Like we always are looking for this happiness and we look for it in all these things. And yes, I just destroyed this pen. And the things don't do it, God dang it.
Where's your head at?
I was just thinking about what I was talking to you on the way here, which is, there was this, I'm going to take a second. There was a moment of my life where I thought I was going to die in like a very short period of time. And I think everyone has had that moment. Maybe I'm not unique to that, but for me, it was really heavy. And I thought 1 to 3 months, I'm going to die. Not a lot of people get to be told they have a brain tumor and live forever, and in that moment, all I cared about was love. And I had a hard time figuring that out for a long time of what that meant. Because, you would think in a moment like that, God, this took a fucking turn, didn't it? In a moment like that, you would think that you would be scared or angry. None of that. None of it. It was the weirdest thing. I wrote it out in a journal. I should read it on a podcast, but because I was trying
that would be great.
I was trying to interpret what that meant. Because I would think if someone told me like, hey, someone's going to tell you have 3 months to live and you're going to feel that in your soul, I would have thought I would break down crying or like, no, none of that. And I was, what we were talking about on the way here as I was listening to Jim Rohn, which is my favorite human that walked the earth. Rest in peace, Jim Rohn. But it was like a mashup podcast, and Jocko Willink, which is also one of my favorite people, brought up that, he's met so many people that got over like hardcore cancer or whatnot, and they all have told him it was the best thing that ever happened to him. And I just thought that was really relatable and interesting.
Yeah.
From someone who didn't have to go through that, but felt it for a moment. Like I almost got the luckiest.
I would disagree because I feel like it's not that you just felt it for a moment. Like, I mean, you've been dealing with it for 5 years now, and there's been all sorts of ups and downs and pains, and
because I just feel like I'm not looking for sympathy.
I know, but it's
I'm
like
trying to
you didn't feel it
better.
for a moment. Like you're living with it, and it is a blessing every day. It's a blessing, because you are taking some pretty gnarly medications. There was 2 of them, Now I'm gonna fucking cry. So thanks. But with some like life altering side effects if taken for a long period of time, So it's not just like it just happened.
It's easy to put it down though,
Yeah,
It's easy
I think
to isn't it interesting how and this is again what we were talking about on the way here, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but how sometimes when you have a trauma, you almost feel like it's a dream and it didn't happen. Your brain is so good at it surviving.
I think it's like the out of body, right? Experience.
Not for, I don't even know. Like for me,
because
it's
if
like,
it was a dream, it was like an out of, that means you were like not in your
just
body.
A dream. Sorry, Biggie Smalls, rest in peace. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's more like I'm trying to look at a memory and I can't decide if it was real or fake. And I've learned that that's a trauma mechanism.
Yeah.
But so is everything. I mean, we wouldn't be able, no one is surviving without some sort of trauma. Everyone has,
trauma shapes us like into
it doesn't
who we are.
define you. It shapes you. But yeah, wow.
But I think that, it's something that we deal with every day, and every day, like, I feel like, more on you because you're the one taking the medication and you're the one with the tumor in the brain that, I'm sure you feel when you get headaches or when you like eat sugar and it inflames everything, you get this choice. You get this choice every day on how you're going to look at life. It's not just like a one and done type thing. It's an everyday thing. You
can definitely still forget though,
Yeah.
And even just like I don't know, like, that podcast. I was listening to that podcast in the shower and I just started crying in the shower like a fucking baby. Just like, it's so weird how certain things, and then you look at it and you go, okay, I guess I was affected by that, even though I acted like I wasn't, it's funny because you think you can suppress all these things and they're deep in there and you can do it. But end of the day, they all either come out or they're gonna come out, whether that's when you die and that'll be some people, and then they'll be able to accept love just in that moment before death. I don't want to be like that. I struggle, but anywho, confidence. Fuck, God, why do we have to do that? That was all me too. I would like to just put it out on the air that I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just speaking about my experiences. I know that maybe that sounds crazy, but it's a complex I have. So, but how do we get confidence, Nicole? What other notes you got on that bad boy?
So confidence comes from doing. I think that whenever you feel insecure about something, you need to take a really deep inward look at your everyday habits, what you're actually working towards on, like for example, if it's in your business or even it just in your humanness,
relationships,
really anything,
communication,
leadership. I think leadership's a big one that we
leadership is just a higher
are
level
surrounded
of
with, because within our company, we have a leadership team and there's just leadership is always needed. It's absolutely needed. And I think we can all be insecure at times, but I think it just comes from doing. And one thing that I wrote down was I think that the opposite of doing is not doing.
Profound.
Write that one down, guys. Procrastinating. And I have struggled with procrastination. And I wrote down this quote actually a really long time ago. I have this huge thing in my phone with all sorts of different quotes. And I wrote this down a really long time ago, probably like 2 or 3 years ago. To procrastinate is to be entitled. It assumes there will be later. It assumes you'll have the discipline to get it done later, despite not having it right now.
Damn.
And that one hit. That's from Discipline is, whoa, the lights are flashing. That quote is from Discipline is Destiny.
Fuck.
By Ryan Holiday. That's a book I would highly recommend.
That's really going to bother me.
Should we turn it off?
Oh,
I'm going to seizure out. All good now?
Yeah, I haven't used that light since we started, so makes sense that it would go dead. Now I have to check. So, as far as confidence goes, I mean, I lost my train of thought, and I won't lie to you. The light really threw me off. I wrote down the mirror because I think something you had said earlier was that God, you said something about you said something about seeing something in others or whatnot, and my thought was that whenever you notice something wrong in someone else, or it's really easy to point out, it's usually because you are or do the same thing. And I think that can erode your confidence. A lot of shit talk will erode your confidence. It's actually like the lowest form of thought, right? Is like judgment and talking about others.
The lowest form of consciousness.
This is true.
But we all struggle with it.
Yep. Yeah. So
we're not saints, it's something that we struggle with on the daily, where we have to consciously decide, like, we're not going to have this conversation, even though we want to. We're not going to, unless it's to get us towards like solving a problem. We're not just going to sit here and talk smack about somebody.
Depends, but yeah, I'm just kidding. I struggle with that hardcore because I grew up in a family where kind of all we do is talk crap about each other. You leave the house of someone else and it's like, oh, did you see what this person did? Oh my God, did you see that? Blah. It's like, and it's the lowest form of, like you said, consciousness or survival or communication. Like it's such low hanging fruit. I'm uninterested in doing it, but I still struggle. My goal is to be the same person everywhere and never be afraid to speak whatever I say in every room all the time.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think it's really important, and we all struggle with this as well, but this is something that really just skyrockets my confidence and self-love as well. And I think those are all kind of tied together, is not lying to yourself.
What is that? That comes hand in hand with procrastination.
Yeah, exactly. Or our mind is such a scary ass place. Let me just say that. Like, excuses come out the woodworks when I last minute don't want to do something, even though I told myself I wanted to do it. And then I'll justify and say, oh, well, my stomach kind of hurts. I might have diarrhea, so I don't think I can do that. I was just talking to Kyle, one of our managers, just did this public speaking thing at one of the conferences in Nashville, and he was like, every excuse is coming through my head as to why I need to back out, and he still did it. And like, I'm sure he's feeling on top of the world because it was a really big deal for him to go up and speak in front of like 200 to 300 people.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and
I'm stoked about it.
And the feeling afterward, I'm just like, there's just this high that you're just, I'm sure
it's a confidence. It's no longer you no longer,
because you did what you wanted to do, and it was absolutely terrifying, and you did it anyway. And that's where the work. That's where the work is done, and that's where the confidence comes in.
And that's when, like, when we talk about ego, it's like that's when ego is a positive thing. Like. You fucking let your ego sing a little bit. Like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Cool. Can you push that chord down? It's just driving me.
It's funny because it's like every time we're like, oh, what podcast should we do today? And I'm always like, do hard things, part 5, part 6, part 7. Because it's like, it always comes down to that. And I was just going to say, like, do hard things, because it's just it's the best feeling. Like, I did a half marathon over the weekend, and like, whole other conversation, but actually it kind of ties in. I procrastinated the training process and did not train, like at all, really. And I'm still feeling it. My quads are just absolutely shot. But the last like 3 miles, I just wanted to just crawl out of my skin, jump off the cliff into the river next to me. I just was in so much pain. And you
literally didn't train at all.
No. And I like my quads, my hips were just super tight. I was just pains everywhere. But I had this mission, I had this goal, this intention, and I was like, I have to do it. And I pushed through and I did it. And it's just the best feeling knowing that I don't know if anyone knows Courtney DeWalter, but she's like this insanely amazing ultra runner, breaking all sorts of different records. And I was watching a video of hers the other day, and she said, like, she calls it the pain cave when you enter that zone when you're like in just so much pain, and you're like, but you sit there and you realize like this is where growth happens. This is where beauty comes from. This is where like you are adding all these skills and tools and like just
and
shit tolerance, confidence. This is where it all comes from, is in this very moment in the pain cave when my hips aren't working, my quads are shot, my foot hurts, my toenail is about to fall off. It's in this moment that
it did fall off. Correction.
No, the big one's still struggling. But that's where all of the beauty is. That's where it's being built, is in that very moment.
And that's where the self-confidence comes from. It's always like, it's always just doing. It's so annoying to see. I mean, it's not annoying because that's a negative word, but it's unfortunate when you see someone who has so much potential and they just won't do it. It just sucks.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I have trouble writing that type of person off, but I've seen it so many times where they just...
I was that person for a long time.
I know, I was going to say, I remember there was a time where you were like, and I was like, oh, I'm running all the time, but it was just this thing where you were blaming everything on either me or the world.
Or an excuse as to why I couldn't do it, you know?
Yeah, there always will be. If you look for it, I'll find every excuse. I mean, I could tell you 100 different excuses right now that are fairly valid, you know, but what good does that do? It does no one any good. You know, get out there and fucking do something.
I feel like all of our conversations always are so like similar to one another because they kind of all are, you know.
It is a little bit frustrating for me. Why? No?
What's frustrating?
They get like
we just talk about the same stuff.
I know, like, just do it, because I think that in the world today, I was thinking about it earlier, and it's like we're always peddled these little fixes and like these secrets in the way of even the influencers I like, right? There's like all these inputs, and overall it's just work on self-awareness, work on personal mastery, work on being the best version of yourself you can, whatever that looks like to you. And then really look at what you want in your life. Define happiness, because that's important, right? If you don't know where you're shooting, you know, you'll never end up anywhere really. And if you can define all that and look at it, I think it's not a question that people ask a lot about. You know, recently I've, you know, been talking to some people going through some really heavy life struggle. And one thing I've noticed is not a lot of them ever thought about what they personally wanted. And I think, as selfish as that could be, quote unquote, I think it's the most important question you can answer. Even if you have kids, you know, if you have kids, you owe it to them to be the best version of yourself and be as happy as you can.
To take care of yourself. And
exactly. Yeah. And we get wrapped up into giving everything for our kids, or we'll do anything for them and blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
or our spouse.
Be the best self, you know, be yes. Or
our
your
7
spouse.
dogs.
Yeah, seriously. But really look at yourself and look at what that looks like for you. You have this life. You can design your life however you want it. There's no one telling you how to do it. You have these guidelines and all these things you've set in your head and people in the way. And every time you give yourself some fucked up excuse or some bullshit about, oh, this person isn't doing this or they're holding me back, or it's all up to you, purely you. You are in control. And some of that is really hard. Really, really, really hard to look at yourself and go, I'm causing this. I can change this. But you have to. And ultimately, it'll end up in your life being in a better place. I'm still working every day to get closer to that, right? And it might change. Sometimes it changes. You can't always, you know, plan it out, this perfect little fairy tale life, you know? And most of the time when you do that, you end up unhappy. So go with the flow. Be fucking happy at all costs. And don't listen to what anyone tells you, because no one knows you but you.
Yeah, don't listen to anything we just said. It's not real.
Listen to yourself. Serious. Get to know yourself like no one else.
Listen to your intuition.
I think a lot of people are missing that, including me, you know. We become chameleons, you know. Like for me, you know, I was talking to you a little bit about and I'm not unique with this, you know. People tease me when I was younger and things, you know, life just happens and it molds you in this very moldable state when you're younger, and you let that control you your whole life. It's this foundation and you had no idea that it's there. you really have to look at it and you have to uncover it and you have to do the work.
Kind of work,
to
Nick.
fix it. And, it's a journey. And some of that journey is unwinding. Some of it's embracing. Some of it's difficult. Some of it's happy and fun. It's all the emotions. We're meant to experience all of them. Don't convince yourself that you should just be comfortable, because if you just live a life of quote unquote comfort, all the discomfort's going to hit you at one time in your life instead of spreading it out nice like it's designed. Whatever you believe in, that's up to you, but that's my take on it.
Yeah. And that's in the comfort zone is even when you are aware of it and you're aware that it's bad and you're aware that, like you're working to always be striving for, I don't know, growth, more, better, like just improving yourself, right? And that when you're in your comfort zone, that doesn't happen, but it's sometimes you just get stuck in it,
And that's when I've been the most depressed, honestly, in my life. If I get stuck in that, I'm not pushing at all. I tell myself that, we could go down a rabbit hole on that, but, man, I can't believe I cried. I was really going into this, not trying to cry.
Every day is a chance for progress, people. So it's never too late. And don't wait until some magical day. Just do it now. Start
your mood,
working.
Follow the plan.
Fuck your mood. I feel like we have the same conversation every episode.
I know it.
Just don't
you know what,
procrastinate
everybody?
it, man.
Bullshit. Go with all of your feelings. Be comfortable. Eat the nasty food. Do nothing.
Victims have big TVs. Leaders have big libraries.
I like that. Leaders are readers, dude. And that doesn't mean you have to physically read books. You can listen to them too. But speaking of that, we always end an episode with a book recommendation.
I already plugged mine in. What about you?
What was it?
Discipline is is when you're fixing the light. Discipline is Destiny of Ryan Holiday. It's a really good book.
Never read it.
Oh my God, it's good. It's one of my favorites.
I don't know if I've plugged this one already, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again. But it's the Everyday Hero Manifesto. you know what's going.
I think we have,
Robin
but it's fine.
Sharma. Well, that's a book I'm actually reading, so it takes me a while. Other book recommendations, if you're a business owner out there, the E-Myth Revisited. I keep recommending that to a lot of people, and I highly recommend anyone early in their business growth journey to listen, read, watch it, whatever. Extreme Ownership is another one.
You got to save some for the future episodes, bro.
I can just keep going. I got a whole library in my head. But, and when you read a book, it doesn't necessarily change you fundamentally. It's a growth thing over time. So
I think it does, actually. I think it does change you fundamentally in small ways.
Yeah, maybe. Like
for me, I don't.
That was the wrong statement.
For me, I don't remember. Like I can't.
Books,
it definitely in moments like this, it comes back to me. But like, it just changes me slowly, one book at a time, in just the smallest of ways. But then you look back and you're like, okay, I've read 20 books, and I am very different than the way I used to be.
This is true.
A plus B equals C.
Knowledge is power. Self-awareness is power.
Boom.
Personal mastery is power.
Titans.
Do all the things.
World class.
Enjoy everything, because you're not going to live forever. Remember that. You're going to die.
Don't procrastinate.
You never know when.
That's arrogance, bro. You're assuming that you have more time.
Fuck procrastination. I hate it. But with that, we end the episode. Thank you, everybody. I know my back hurts a little bit. So, again, I must shamelessly ask that you like, share, and subscribe. Check us out. We should have a Facebook up at some point. Maybe not. You can add Nicole Jones or Nick Jones on Facebook. I got a picture of my dogs, and I think Nicole does too.
I'm kissing Trevor on the beach.
I'm holding Miko and Ralph. Ralph, the sponsor of this episode, Ralph's Crispy Crunchy Chicken. Also, keep an ear out.
Vegan chicken.
We do have a nonprofit called All Dogs Thrive. We'll be launching their website soon. We're out here trying to save dogs. So all animals really, but we're going to start with dogs. Appreciate you listening. My name's Nick. That's Nicole. If you need auto repair, let us know. And that's it.
Peace and deuces.